and Support begins in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Nurture and Support. It's been a while since I've had to say that. Nurture and Support, episode 115. I'm Kelly Toole at KELLYTHUL on Twitter.
And I'm Mel at Karmic9, sometimes on Twitter.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mike at Official Pagan on Twitter.
I am visiting. I'm Julie Ann Emery at Julie Ann Emery on Twitter and Instagram, and Julie Ann Emery fan page on Facebook.
As you imagine, we're like super excited with our guest. Julie Ann was very nice to join us, and we're really excited to have her on. And I need to clear something up and I'll have to give Julie Ann a little bit of background here. This podcast is called Nurture and Support. It's a podcast Mel and I do pretty regularly. For a variety of reasons, we had to kind of park it for a little bit. Mike has been on a lot.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Mike. It's always a pleasure. To fill the void for a little while, Mike and I said, we'll do a little short-run podcast, keeping with the same format, named it Squat Cobbler after a fun episode this season of Better Call Saul. We've done two episodes
Which, to my amazement, Kelly was already quite aware of.
You know, the internet still wants to see, the Squat Cobbler videos, right? There's a lot of talk going on about the Squat Cobbler videos.
That's not a DVD extra. It's not the world I want to live in.
It's the Chicago sunroof of season 2.
Now, I could live without that DVD extra, though. So, just to clear up, any misconceptions on this. We're doing this as a Nurture and Support, not because Mel was concerned about the tremendous momentum that Squat Cobbler had developed after 2 episodes. Matter of fact, if you listen to those episodes, you'll see there's absolutely nothing to worry about, and we really, really miss Mel's judgment a lot.
I especially, because I've had to kind of fill in for Mel at keeping Kelly on the rails, and it is hard.
I've seen a few comments on Twitter. I haven't listened yet, but
that's probably best.
I've heard the language has been colorful.
Yeah, I had to learn all sorts of things about editing and how do you label stuff as explicit content if you're going to put it out on iTunes, and so.
To be fair, I blame you for all of that, Kelly.
I'm aware. Yes you do.
I'm sure they're fine.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I learned some new tricks. Have an episode I could live with. So, for those of you who don't know about Julie Ann, we could do an entire show about everything that she's been in. And besides being an actress, she's also a director and a producer. Some highlights of some of the things that she's been on include NCIS and NCIS New Orleans, Masters of Sex, Mike Behave, Fargo, Royal Pains, Dexter, CIS Miami.
I think that's CSI Miami.
Beg pardon?
CSI?
CSI Miami.
You said CIS. I'm just correcting you.
Oh, did I? Oh, thanks, Mike.
No need to fight about credits. It's all good.
The most super awesome place where we first became connected, because this is, Julie Ann, this is the hardest core Kettlehead group you'll ever find. It's Betsy Kettleman on Better Call Saul. We just became huge fans of her and Craig and do everything we can to support them.
I appreciate that. Right on. Team Kettleman all the way. Yep.
We are the original Kettleheads.
You know what? I did know that. I did. I appreciate that. I really do. It makes a difference. It makes a difference in how the network and the studio and the creatives on the show sort of approach your character and what they do with it after everything's even in the can. And it's good. Thank you. So thank you, Kettleheads.
Thank you, because it's awesome. Yeah. And we, fingers crossed, that maybe there'll be some developments in the future, and maybe we'll see him again.
Well, Vince and Peter have both publicly in interviews expressed a great interest in having the Kettlemans back, and they're not dead. In the Breaking Bad universe, that generally means things come back around. But I have no information one way or the other on that. I can tell you I would love to step in Betsy's shoes again and get into her very specific headspace for a little while. Luckily for my husband, I don't live in that headspace in real life.
She's a very special woman, Betsy.
Yes, she is. Man, she is tenacious. She believes that she speaks her world in a way no one else on earth does.
Confidence is a good thing. And so, if it's not too personal question, is Craig's arms better or your husband? Who has the better arms, your husband or Craig?
My husband in real life or Craig?
Yeah.
Well, I have to say my husband in real life because, I live with him in real life. But Jeremy Shamus has pretty nice arms, right?
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. In one of we did a lot of, everything that wound up on screen was scripted, but we did a lot of improv in and out of scenes just to sort of, because the Kettlemans have such a specific headspace, and we had a whole conversation about his short sleeves, wearing shirt sleeves everywhere.
And like my all-time favorite Kettleman moment was the when you're having coffee with Jimmy and the waitress checks for Jimmy and you for coffee, and neither of you want it, and Craig's desperately trying to get one.
Yeah.
That was an improv, or was that actually written?
Yeah, that was just behavior. I don't know. That wasn't written, but I guess there's a fine line. I usually think of improv as spoken stuff. The rest of it is, as an actor, you're always trying to cram as much behavior into a scene as possible. But I'll tell you, at the premiere, all of the executives had just seen the cut of that episode, and they were all coming up talking about this moment in the diner, and I had no memory of it. Because it's a long scene, and we shot it months ago, and when you're in a long scene and you're in a character as intense as Betsy is, you just go places that you don't necessarily, you lose self-awareness, I guess, is the best way to put it. Like you do things that you don't have memory of doing after the fact. You know.
Kelly knows a lot about that, actually.
This is not a drunk thing. But
Thanks for joining Team Mike so quickly, Julie.
But you do things that you don't, think about. And I didn't think about it for 1 second. It's just we were so into the behavior of the characters at that point that it just sort of naturally happened.
It was fun. So cool.
Do you ever find yourself slipping back into Betsy?
Only when I talk about her. Not fully in character, but there's a weird physicality she has that I slip back into. I was doing a podcast interview while Better Call Saul was on the air, and they started asking me about Fargo and the dialect work on Fargo, and I immediately started speaking with that dialect without thinking about it. So I don't, in general, in real life, I don't fall in and out of my characters, but once you start talking about it, it's pretty easy to slip in, yeah.
And Betsy's
Very
neck
cool.
doesn't turn, pretty much, because the
Peter
whole body...
Gould is obsessed with that. I don't know. Sometimes there's just physicality that just makes you feel like the character. I was not even necessary. That was one of those other things. I was not aware of doing that. It never felt like Betsy until there was a stiffness to the physical of it. I don't know how else to describe that. She's just very specific.
It worked, definitely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and jump into the recommendations then. Mel's going to kick us off, so whenever you're ready.
All right. I'm sure y'all have all heard about adult coloring books. Anybody?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I'm sure Mike has, but I think it's much different than what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I didn't think this was that kind of show, Mel.
It's not. It's not. Those might be more fun to color, though. I personally am not much into the actual physical adult coloring books, but I didn't know that there were apps where you could do digital coloring book apps.
I didn't know that either.
Well, they're pretty cool. So that's my kind of coloring, because I'm indecisive and I don't, those colors don't look good together. Well, when you're doing it in the real world, it's not as easy to change the colors after you've put them on the paper. So I like the digital aspect of being able to undo. The undo button is awesome. So there is pretty much the premier coloring book app, and this one's only available for iOS. It works on the iPhone and the iPad, and it's called Pigment. The website is pigmentapp.co, and it's made by a company called Pixelite. They claim themselves to be the only true coloring book experience in the digital world.
So how do you back that claim up?
I know. That's why it's air quotes, y'all. It's actually a free app. You can do quite a bit in the app for free. Now, there is premium. Premium runs $7.99 a month or $39.99 for a year. So what do you get for premium? Premium actually lets you take the watermark off of your picture when you're done coloring it, and you can send it out to all the different social medias, and you can save it to your camera roll. When you're using a free one, though, there's a little pigment watermark in the bottom. Premium will take that off, and you get access to every coloring book they have in the app. So there are a whole bunch of coloring books with everything that you can imagine. If you've ever looked at the physical coloring books that are out there, this covers almost all of those genres. They've got butterflies with all the intricate patterning inside of them, the abstract patterns. They have alphabet letters, ancient Egypt, the really cool animal ones, which of course are my favorite, with all the different curly cues and everything inside of them. Your typical mandalas, and they also put out holiday ones for every holiday. In each one of those books, and I didn't count them all, there has to be at least a dozen of them in there. In each one of those books, there's a few of them that are free for you to do. And then the rest of them are marked with a little diamond in the corner, and that means they're premium. So you have to actually be a paying member to get access to those. But everything else in the app, which is cool because I looked at a couple of these and a bunch of them want you to pay for specific brushes or they want you to pay to access particular colors. In Pigment, all of the brushes, all of the colors are free for you to start. The only thing that you have to pay for is to get the extra coloring book pages. The brushes on it are really pretty cool. They've got your standard one that looks like a colored pencil. You've got a marker one, a paintbrush, your standard little paint can from Paint that it just fills the square or the part that you select. Really cool part, there are 2 different gradient fills which will fade out your color in either if you're going to do the whole background of the image or if you're going to do a particular section. So you might think it's kind of hard to color on your tablet. This one does pretty cool in that you can select each one of the little areas that you want to color, and when you select that, you can color all over the page, but it will only color in the area that you've selected, so you don't have to worry about getting outside of the lines. Or if you don't want to color that way and you want to get outside the lines, you can. It's all up to you. One of the other cool things, all of the colors are arranged in color palettes or themes. So you could, if you're like me and your little color challenge about picking colors that go well together, they have a number of palettes that are already pre-made. Now you can always select a palette and mix and match however you want to, but they've already given you a range of colors that go well together that aren't going to be glaringly horrible, which I would probably pick if it was up to me. You also get to change how much the color is visible, the opacity of the color, and the thickness of the mark that you're making, which is pretty cool. But the really, really phenomenal thing about this app is it works really, really well with the new iPad Pro and the Apple Pencil. I got a chance to play with it on an iPad Pro with the Apple Pencil, and you can actually, because of the pressure sensitivity in the Apple Pencil and the iPad Pro, the way they work together, you can actually color using that based on the pressure that you're applying with the pencil, and you'll actually make a deeper, darker mark with the pencil as opposed to being able to do it with just your finger. It works great on my iPad 4 with my finger, but it works really, really, really well with the Apple Pencil. So if you're in the market for a new iPad and an Apple Pencil and you like to color, this may be pretty cool for you. But it's an app called Pigment. I thought it was really pretty cool. I like it, and I guess I'll send Kelly one of my pictures so he can put it up on the blog post.
Excellent. That'll be perfect.
It's a horse.
That's not shocking. That's not shocking.
I know. Totally shocking.
So Mike, for reference, start thinking Squat Cobbler coloring book, because I think there might be, we could create a coloring book based on the previous episodes.
Which will also have a horse.
Ew.
Yeah, it will. People wouldn't know that due to the editing, but yeah, it will.
Oh, that's right. Never mind. I didn't say that.
Yeah.
No, I'm really afraid to listen to Squat Cobbler.
Yeah. We all are.
It's safe. It's safe, sort of. The original cut, no. And, yeah, it's fine. It's perfectly fine, sort of.
Yeah.
We need Mel back desperately.
The only thing that app is missing is it doesn't have any sweary word color pages. I was given a book of one of the swear word ones, and I really do love it. I would just love it if it was digital.
What do you
Then
mean
I could
swear
actually
word
color.
pages?
They're cutesy little pages that don't look like it's a motif that's all based around a swear word. Haven't you seen like the cross stitch patterns that look like something your granny would made, and then if you actually read what it says on there, it says something obscene or something?
Yes.
Rude.
Yeah.
Okay, think that when you think about swear word adult coloring books, because it's the same theme. There are a ton of those out there, and there's more coming out every day because people like me think it's amusing. So I would color a lot more if Pigment came out with some swear word coloring pages. So they should really think about that.
Yeah.
I would pay for premium, possibly, because then think of all the places I could share those little swear word coloring pages.
I think I'm just a little too conservative for that.
I know you are. Squat Cobbler and all.
That's all Kelly.
Yeah, it's not like we tried to have a contest to have people send in videos doing that. Oh, wait, we did. So,
Yes.
never mind. Julianne, we'll go ahead and have you go next.
Okay, would you guys rather hear about my favorite movie of the moment or my favorite food of the moment?
I'm going food.
Okay. So this is totally old school, and my husband and I are obsessed with baked potatoes again. So we're completely obsessed, and we will have a full dinner that's just baked potatoes. You have to get like a big, fat, great, basic Idaho baked potato, right? A russet potato, and clean it really well, and put like olive oil and sea salt all over it. Do not wrap it up, and stick it in the oven, like something over 425, and leave it in there for at least an hour. Like, put it in, walk away, let that puppy cook for an hour to an hour and a half, right? So when you take it out, the skin is crispy. So then you cut it in half, and you put all your whatever your favorite things are to put on your baked potato, right? Which really runs the gamut at the moment. Eat it, and when you eat it, really clean it all out, right? Then open up the skin, put some cheese on that puppy, put it in the toaster oven, and have potato skins afterwards.
That sounds awesome.
They're all salty and crispy after the fact, and we are completely obsessed. So baked potato night, we'll watch we will be watching Game of Thrones tonight and having our baked potato night, and it lasts for a long time because you eat and then you take a little break, and then you go for the potato skin section of the evening, and they get all crispy because they've been in the oven, and you put lots of cheese on them, put some more butter on them. Kevin likes to put more sour cream and chives and stuff on them, so it's not very exciting, but we are old school obsessed with baked potatoes again. But don't put it in a microwave. The microwave is heresy for a baked potato. You have to put it in the oven for an hour at least. It's important. It makes it a different food.
Okay, so I have a number of follow-up questions.
Yes.
Based on our recommendation. Favorite baked potato toppings for you?
Favorite baked potato? Well, I do like straight up butter and lots of salt, but if I'm really going decadent, butter, lots of butter, obscene amounts of butter, sour cream, scallions, and bacon, but not Bako bits. Cook bacon in a cast iron skillet and crumble it up, and cook it in the skillet until you hold the end of it and it sticks up like a stick. That kind of bacon, and then break that up and put it on your potato. And then you can put that bacon on the potato skin too. You gotta save it. You save a little bacon to the side, and you do it on the potato skin after the fact. Yeah.
That takes a lot of self-control, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Save the bacon for the potato.
Well, it's hard to not just eat the bacon straight out of it. I have an obsession with bacon. For my birthday, my husband always makes me birthday bacon, and he makes the whole package of bacon because I will literally just eat and eat and eat and eat the bacon. And that sounds wrong. That sounds wrong. But
does
yeah.
Birthday bacon have candles on it or something?
No, it's just cheap bacon because I don't like fancy bacon. I don't like it cured. I'm from a small town in the South. I like just regular thin bacon cooked in a cast iron skillet. The cast iron skillet's very important. Yeah, to the bacon and the amount of time it cooks so that it's like a stick. That crispy bacon. I don't like floppy bacon. And I've spent quite a bit of time working in Canada, and I don't like Canadian bacon. I can't. I have a bad thing about. I can't handle Canadian bacon. I don't like it.
Floppy Bacon would be a great band name.
I was waiting for Mike to comment on the floppy bacon.
Floppy Bacon would be a great Twitter handle, actually.
And birthday bacon's not bad either, but during the course of the answer, floppy bacon moved to the top. Yeah.
Floppy bacon definitely goes to the top. I actually, if I order bacon in a restaurant and it comes back not crispy, I won't eat it. I don't like chewy bacon. I have an issue with it.
You know who else I'm pretty convinced doesn't like floppy bacon?
Who else?
Betsy Kettleman. I bet she is not.
I'd say Betsy is very specific about her bacon. That there's a specific way to cook, and afterward, I don't mind the grease, but I think Betsy would be putting it on layers of paper towel to pat. So Craig doesn't have to go on Lipitor early or something. Yeah, for sure.
I totally see her doing that.
Yeah. So I'm weirdly obsessed with baked potatoes at this moment in time.
They're good
so
for you.
The other awesome recommendation, by the way, the other follow-up question, you mentioned Game of Thrones. What's your, if you were going to kind of be house aligned, where would you be?
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? I'm a Stark. Are you kidding me? Winterfell, all the way. I mean, I realize it seems like Winterfell is gone, and if they kill off all those kids, I am going to hurt my television. I mean, I read the books like they were crack. I could not. I was living in New York when I read the books, and I would read on the subway. And there was a night that I got to the end of one book, and I got off the subway 3 stops early to stop at a bookstore and buy the next book, and I walked home. So, I mean, yeah. Does everybody here watch Game of Thrones, right? Everybody?
I do. Mel Reed has read the books. Mike, I'm not sure.
I do watch them.
Okay, so The Red Wedding,
I can't read, so I haven't read the books.
I threw the book across the room when I read The Red Wedding. I threw the book, and I was like, I'm not reading this anymore. And then, I calmed down for half an hour and went and got my book and continued reading. But, yeah. I'm hardcore into Game of Thrones. Yeah.
And I support, I get the Team Stark thing. That's good. But, if you're willing to overlook one small error in judgment, burning his daughter alive, Stannis...
That's not the error in judgment. The error in judgment is thrown in with religious fanatics.
Okay, 2 small errors in judgment.
I mean, you can't be a leader by throwing in with religious fanatics. I can't get down with that. I can't.
I just like that you said murdering your child is not necessarily an error in judgment.
He said a small error in judgment, burning his child alive. But that's what happens when you throw in with fanatics, right? I mean, I appreciate the strong female character there, the Lady in Red, but I think I would love to play her, frankly, but I can't get behind that fanaticism. I can't do it.
I just love that he corrects grammar. It just makes me so happy.
Kelly.
But back to floppy bacon, which means we go to Mike. So whenever you're ready, sir.
Okay. My recommendation is not a long one. I recently discovered a band, and I'm saying this with absolutely no bias whatsoever. Did you guys ever hear the band Guns N' Roses?
No.
Yes.
Who's that?
Familiar, yes.
There is no bias in this whatsoever. So they're playing a couple of big shows apparently this year. The one guitar player, not the guy with the top hat, the other one is really, really good. His name is Richard Fortus. No bias whatsoever. In 2014, they put out a concert film called Appetite for Democracy, which was released on Blu-ray as a 3D Blu-ray. Now, I don't know if you guys are fans of 3D. I am not. Are you guys 3D people at all?
No, not really.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Kelly?
Rare. So, like, I'm not going to remember the name of the movie. The Sandra Bullock movie where she was up in space by herself.
Gravity.
Yeah. That one.
That was really well. Yeah.
That's a good execution of 3D, but that's about it for me.
It has to work for whatever the piece is.
So we're all in agreement. 3D is terrible. So, so I'm not a fan of 3D, but it is available in 3D. And on the Blu-ray, it gives you the option of watching it in 3D or in 2D. I've only ever watched it in 2D, but it's an excellent performance. It was recorded a couple of years before it was actually released during the band's second residency at the Joint at the Hard Rock in Vegas. And it's just a great set. It's the entire performance from start to finish, so it's not a hodgepodge clips compilation of different shows. It's one show from start to finish. I don't know a lot about music, and like I said, I'm not really familiar with that particular band, but it's a really impressive set list and everything. I just really like it. And I would like you guys to watch it, and there is a deluxe version of it available that comes with a CD and a T-shirt and stuff like that.
Why would you make a concert film in 3D? Why would you do that, I wonder? Artistically speaking, why would that be necessary, I wonder?
I'm not sure, but the Blu-ray did win an award because of its use of 3D. So apparently the 3D version is impressive if you enjoy that sort of thing. Again, not a 3D person, so I haven't actually watched it in 3D. But I guess since it won an award, it's worth checking out if you like 3D.
But do you have to have a 3D TV?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Do you?
Yeah.
You'd have to have a 3D TV, right? You'd have to, I would think, right?
You'd have to have the player that can do 3D and the TV.
That seems like a big expense.
But it also has the 2D version on there.
Right.
And that's really what everybody should watch.
But like an Alice Cooper show, totally 3D is necessary because he's throwing stuff out, and there's
Kiss, the tongue.
There are things. So.
Now, I've never seen this Guns N' Roses band live before.
Julie Ann's probably not familiar with your pathological lying part, Mike.
Guess what? I picked up on it.
It's subtle.
Immediately, yeah.
So very cool. Excellent.
So you guys should definitely check that out. And that band is on tour now. And one of the guitar players, Bumblefoot, is no longer with them. So they have this new guy who wears a top hat. I'm not really familiar with him. But that Richard Fortus guy is really good. And I'm trying to remember his Slash. I think it's called Slash. You should check them out. I really think they're going to go places.
Got a catchy name. Good.
It's a good name, and that's really all you need. It's no Floppy Bacon. But
That's true.
Well,
Maybe they should try that.
But Floppy Bacon would have to be like an underground band in Portland, right? I mean, that would have to...
I don't know. I could see Floppy Bacon headlining Coachella.
Yeah, sure. Out of nowhere.
Right.
Right.
Somehow Mumford and Sons. I think I see them on a ticket with them somehow.
Mumford and
for
Sons and
Mumford
Floppy
and Sons.
Bacon?
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it would be Floppy Bacon opening for Mumford and Sons.
Yep, I see that.
So a real bill, I don't know if you were aware, was Mumford and Sons opening for the co-headlining duo of Slayer and Billy Joel.
Oh, my God.
That actually happened, and I'm so disappointed myself as a person for not having been there, but that would have been an incredible show.
I think you should be disappointed, Michael. I think that's legitimate, you know. I'm going to be honest with you. The more times we say Floppy Bacon, the more it grosses me out. How can I love a food so much and dislike the legitimate cooked version of it? So it's literally grossing me out to think about Floppy Bacon.
Okay, well, you started it, so.
Yes, I did. I absolutely, yes. I thought we were talking about baked potatoes, and suddenly we were talking about Floppy Bacon.
The irrefutable debating, you started it.
That's right. There you go. That just solves the whole thing right
Like
there.
a great bacon debate, right?
I absolutely believe that the title of this episode is going to be Floppy Bacon, though. I don't really think there's...
Like, okay, speaking of floppy bacon, what's up with, like, wrapping bacon around things and putting it in the oven? The bacon just winds up floppy. Like, I just like bacon wrapped chicken. It grosses me out. I'm like, no, I don't want your floppy bacon around my chicken.
Can it be called Speaking of Floppy Bacon?
I don't know. I'm kind of going down with I don't want your floppy bacon around my chicken as the title, because I think we're going to get more listens if we go with something like that.
I don't. I legitimately don't want your floppy bacon around my chicken.
I think we can all get behind that. So, visiting my parents recently, and one thing that had become the power of advertising, one thing that had become a must-do, was the bacon-wrapped Little Caesars pizza that they just kept bringing it up and up and up. We got to have that one night. We got to have that one night. You're kind of low sodium, not a good idea, but okay, as a treat, we'll get quite a disappointment. Floppy bacon
And that's the story of how Kelly killed his parents.
Was anyone surprised that it was a disappointment? I mean, you can't trust a pizza joint to cook the bacon. These are important things.
And this is nothing against Little Caesars because they don't actually have those in my area. I have had Little Caesars before, but it's not like a go-to for us. I know that you can they have those ready to go, and that's a little bit disturbing. So to me, that you're a pizza place that's on the level of a gas station.
No,
So
McDonald's. It's like McDonald's having cheeseburgers in the queue, right?
But it was like $1. I mean, that's the one thing. I went in to buy this, and it was it's very affordable, but it is not real tasty. But it's cheap, so.
I don't think you get both. Well, that's not totally true. Okay, I'm shutting up now. Kelly,
All right.
go off on some other.
Okay, so I will wrap up the recommendation thing. So, Julie Ann, are you a sports fan?
I am, yes.
Thank God, because this recommendation, Mel, not a fan. Mike, not a fan. So
Yeah,
What sports?
I'm mostly a football. I'm primarily a college football fan, but I am a sports fan in general across the board.
Now, are we counting falconry?
Falconry is not a sport.
Then no, I don't like sports. Kelly's correct.
That falls into an animal category, like riding horses, falconry. In my opinion, sorry, falconry.
I don't know. That's a pretty strident position to take.
Michael's just watched Is it Nighthawk with Matthew Broderick? That movie? You just watched that movie a lot, right? Lady Hawk. It's Lady Hawk.
Lady Hawk.
I will watch any Matthew Broderick movie.
Matthew Broderick and Michelle Pfeiffer. Lady Hawk.
I've actually not seen that movie, but I will watch it.
Oh my God, you have to see this movie.
I feel like you just made another recommendation that I will
I'm
see
sorry.
do.
There's a second one in there. Tell us more. Why do we need to see it?
Because it's awesome.
It's totally awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you. It's like some mashup of romance and fantasy and sci-fi and it's awesome.
They already made that. It was called Showgirls.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Matthew Broderick is a criminal. He's a little criminal. He's very young, and his name is Mouse.
Yes.
You totally have to see this movie.
You have
it
to
is
see it.
phenomenal.
When you say very young, he's not like a kid, right?
No, he's like, what
no.
is he, probably 19 or 20 in
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rutger Hauer. Come
Yes.
on, people.
Okay.
Thank you,
okay.
Mel.
I've never
Thank you.
heard
Why
of
are
this
the
movie.
chicks the only ones who have seen this movie? Because I don't consider it a chick movie.
No.
I mean,
Lady Hawk. Doesn't sound. It's no
it's
sword and
not. It's
sorcerer.
not. You know where it falls into the category? It's like a classier version of Willow. It falls into, those movies. There was that time period where those Time Bandits, it sort of falls into that sort of classification of films in my mind.
But
So you had me at Willow, but lost me at Classy.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, I meant that
movie.
class. I didn't call it classy. I said that class of films.
Yes. It's actually quite funny in places
Yes.
and very dramatic in places. So.
And
It has
sad.
everything. Very
Yeah.
sad.
It's got a lady hawk. It's got a dude who turns into a wolf.
Wolf.
Hello.
Frozen lakes. Big black horses.
Curse, lovers, big
Monks.
black horses, fugitives on the run. It's got everything. It's
Kelly, have
like
you ever even
Lord of the
heard of
Rings
this
of
movie?
its day.
So I guess I'd like to publicly apologize for Mike and I not seeing this movie. We're very regretful. We will do our best to correct it as soon as possible. We're sorry, and thank you for the information.
I apologize for accidentally making another recommendation.
That's okay. It was a good one.
Actually, though, I think all of you, even you non-sports people, will enjoy this one. So I am a Chicago Bears fan. So a long-suffering Chicago Bears fan. And so there's one special year for Chicago Bear fans. That was 1985, where they won the Super Bowl, and they had this cast of characters that were just all really fun.
Super Bowl Shuffle, man.
Yep, did Super Bowl Shuffle the day after they lost their only game that year. 30 for 30, the Sports Illustrated has done a series of sports movies. I've recommended one before, Mel, on this one, which was the one on the South African rugby teams.
Yes.
So 30 for 30 just released the 85 Bears 30 for 30. And it's really fun. It's not just like a highlight film of the 85 Bears and isn't that great. There's some real interesting stories. A lot of it centers on Buddy Ryan. Buddy Ryan was the defensive coordinator, and the Bears weren't very good. The Bears have spent a lot of time being not very good. But Buddy had joined them. They had a head coach who was not doing particularly well, and they were about to fire this head coach and hire Mike Ditka. Well, when Ditka came in, the full expectation was he'd clean house and start with a new team. So George Halas was still alive at this point in time, and George Halas goes back to the very beginnings of the NFL. He's a legendary figure. The entire defensive team got together and wrote a letter and sent it directly to George Halas saying, we know you're going to make some changes. Don't fire Buddy. He's doing something pretty amazing here. So the next practice, they're going away, and all of a sudden, Papa Bear, George Halas, comes walking onto the practice field and dismisses everybody but the defense and says, this has never happened before. He's going to stay. And so you get kind of the story of his bond with the defensive players and what was going on there. You get a pretty good dose of Mike Ditka, who seems to be a pretty self-aware guy that he on some of the stuff he did may not have gone over that well. So he's kind of fun to kind of hear talk. You start to understand a little bit about Jim McMahon, who late in his career started to have concussion-like symptoms and injuries with that, and a process they went through to correct that. So you get kind of what went on with Jim with some post stuff there. You get a lot of the Buddy stuff, and unfortunately for Buddy Ryan, he's had a lot of bouts with strokes and some other things, so his health is failing. You've got a lot of these players that come and visit him and kind of talk to him about the types of things, and he ended up writing them a letter, thanking them for saving his job at the time and that he always loved them and those types of things. So there's this neat story on the role he played. You get kind of the backstory on the teams and just kind of the weirdness because it's just this cast of characters. You had Walter Payton, who's one of the greatest running backs ever.
Refrigerator.
Beg pardon?
The refrigerator.
The refrigerator, who's got some plenty of interview time, who Buddy did not like because he didn't fit Buddy's defense, but Ditka loved him. And what particularly happened there, and you get kind of the whole backstory, that the year before, the Bears' defense with Buddy had gotten better and better and better, but their offense wasn't very good. And the San Francisco 49ers beat them one year to go to the Super Bowl. And towards the end of the game, they took one of their offensive linemen and put him in the backfield to block, and it was just kind of an insult. So the next year when the Bears played the 49ers, this was the year they won the Super Bowl, they put the fridge back there. and the fridge was, 350 pounds, but he was quick. He was actually fast, surprisingly fast. And they replayed the footage of him just destroying this poor linebacker who was going to try, because he got a head of steam up. And you get to see some Perry stuff, and you get McMahon. You get some of the Super Bowl shuffle, some of the backstory there. The cast of characters on the defense. You've got Gary Fensick, who went to Yale, and he's a really intelligent guy, and he kind of goes through things. Then you have Steve McMichael, who likes to catch rattlesnakes, and maybe isn't quite as an intelligent guy, but they're all fun to do so. It's a fun kind of character study. It's kind of a heartwarming story to see the relationship between Buddy Ryan and his players. And when the Bears won the Super Bowl, and this has been the only time that this has happened in Super Bowl history, a lot of times the teams will carry their head coach off, which the Bears did that game. But if you watch any of the footage of the 85 Bears Super Bowl victory, Dick is up on a set of shoulders, and the defense went over and picked Buddy Ryan up and carried. It's the only time two coaches have been carried off the field. So it's just kind of a cool thing to watch. So, and even if you don't like sports, I think you'll like it.
I tell people that they should read Phil Jackson's book, whether they like sports or not, Sacred Hoops, his first book, because it's like there's a lot of life going on there. I think that happens a lot in sports documentaries and stuff.
Yeah, I think for a couple special coaches, that's true.
Yeah.
So Mel, you gonna watch it? It's on Netflix.
Probably not.
I'll watch it with my husband. He's a Bears fan. He's from Chicago.
Oh, well then, if you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix. If you haven't seen it yet, he's gonna love it. Because it's good by itself. But if you're a Bears fan and watch it, it's all it's extra gravy. It's just so good.
Nice.
So definitely do that.
I've heard of some of those people.
That's good. And you've heard the basic gist of the story, and it's kind of like the Titanic. Spoiler: they win the Super Bowl, so there's no.
It was very sweet, making sports players be human. It was a very good job, Kelly.
Yeah, it was fun, and I didn't have kind of a full appreciation of the Buddy Ryan defensive team relationship, and I always kind of wondered, like, why in the world did they carry him off too? And I knew that they were tight, but then you get this backstory, and it all makes a lot of sense. So it's pretty cool.
I think we lost Mike during all that sports talk.
What? Oh, no, I'm still... What?
Is the Falcon back yet?
I think it's possible Mike is a wolf by day. Mel is the only person who understands that reference, but, that's okay.
I know, because I haven't watched the movie. I got it. I'll get on it. All righty. Hey, so we'll wrap this up with some social media recommendations. Mel, do you have one for this is a not required part of the show, Julianne, so if you've got one, awesome. If you don't, that's fine too. But we'll check with the attendees. Mel, do you have one? Pass from Mel. We'll go to Julianne next.
Well, obviously, I think you should follow the all the Better Call Saul writers, period. But my favorite person to follow right now on Twitter is Nathan Fillion. He's really funny. Do you guys follow Nathan Fillion? You must, because you're Firefly fans.
Yes. Yep.
I'm surprised he's never been recommended before.
Has he not? He runs a very funny Twitter feed, and he posts like if there are people from Firefly, or even like reaching all the way back to was it One Life to Live when he was on a soap? Was it One Life? It was one of the soaps, yeah. Even if they have someone on, he'll post like photos like from the set, like, or when he sees them out and about, he'll post like throwback photos. So it's a pretty cool feed, and he's a big Game of Thrones nerd. He's a pretty big nerd as well. He runs a cool feed.
Excellent.
He likes Jaws too, y'all.
Yeah, you can also tell it's him running it.
Yes.
Which is a plus in my book.
And sadly, I am not following him, but after I watch Lady Hawk, I got to priority-wise, I'll get Lady Hawk watched, then I'll follow Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, I don't think you can watch Lady Hawk online digitally. I don't think it's available digitally.
I've not ever tried to watch it digitally online. Where would you get Lady Hawk now?
You have to buy the DVD, which I think there was an anniversary Blu-ray, I think, that came out. So y'all are lucky.
Lucky me. Okay. So I can buy that online anonymously, right? So
my geekdom obviously started early. Like, I loved Willow, Lady Hawk, The Last Starfighter, like all of those. They're these early genre movies that way.
Last Starfighter was a fun one too.
Oh my God, that's one of my favorites. I found it on DVD in a Blockbuster in Beverly Hills once and screamed. And everybody looked around, and I looked at my husband, and I went, "It's The Last Starfighter!" And they all looked at me like I had lost my mind, and I was like, "Y'all don't understand. It's so good." Robert Preston in The Last Starfighter, yeah.
It was really good.
So in this time frame, though, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier, The Sword and the Sorcerer was during this time frame, too.
Sure, yes.
Lee Horsley,
Yes.
A three-bladed sword that fires.
Yes, I understand. I prefer Willow and Lady Hawk, but it's an absolute, legitimately good film. Yes. Yes.
I did mention the sword shoots, right? You know, like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think being obsessed with shooters is a boy thing.
Mike.
Yes.
You have a falconry recommendation for us?
Well, so just to add something to that, you can rent or buy Lady Hawk digitally on Amazon.
Right on.
You can now. Okay, that's
Yes.
new.
Yeah, so Kelly, get on that. You have no excuse, sir.
And I appreciate your laser-like focus to the show as you look that up.
Hey, that's what I bring to the table. That and trying to keep you in line when Mel's not here. But my social media recommendation, obviously, is Julie Ann.
Aww.
What a move.
That's it. You got a little brown on your nose there, Mike.
It's okay. It's
that's
unashamed.
That's very sweet. I appreciate that.
Well, now
We already follow you, of course.
Aw, thank you. Be forewarned, though. I do post stuff about what I'm doing, but I also go on major nerd kicks from time to time about various things.
which makes
If I
pretty
can
awesome.
get through Kelly's rants, I can get through anything.
Yeah, but it was, I just love the ones when you were back, and actually like more of this came out on Instagram than Twitter, although maybe both, some of the pre-Star Wars stuff when you had a chance to go through
The
and see.
Star Wars celebration was cool, right? Do you know a Kettlehead hooked me up with tickets to the Star Wars celebration? So I felt like social media brought me to that day, and I definitely I did link them all to Twitter, but there's a whole section of my Instagram that's all pictures from the Star Wars day. And then we wound up through Twitter, again, hooked up with the guys that were doing the live feed on YouTube from the Star Wars. And they had a Tom Spina there putting people in costume. And so he put us in costume, and we went into the Mos Eisley Cantina, and we did a segment for them on their live feed. And then we went around with Tom Spina and took pictures with some of the major exhibit events. It was really cool. We wound up with some really cool stuff. And then, my husband and I playing around. Me pretending I was getting shot by an AT-AT and, things like that. Yeah.
You had a great shot with BB-8.
Yeah. That was from they had a whole robot room, actually, and that was from the droid room. Yeah, it was a really cool day. And the Star Wars fans are intense. I mean, they spend a lot of time on their costumes, and there was a guy who looked exactly like Alec Guinness. It was a really cool, fun day. I was like a kid in a candy store. I was like a hyperactive 8-year-old all day long. I had the best time. It was so much fun. And I have T-shirts that I bought there that you can't buy anywhere else. And I wear them with pride in various places.
So I had one, but I'm changing it because I'm going to recommend everybody follows Floppy Bacon on Twitter. It's at Floppy Bacon. There are only 4 people currently following Floppy Bacon. Or one person following Floppy Bacon.
There is not actually a Floppy Bacon Twitter.
There is a Floppy Bacon Twitter account.
Oh my God.
Hasn't tweeted since 2013, but it's out there. So maybe this massive new followers will inspire. The last tweet from Floppy Bacon, also known as Da Boss, is "Thank you, Sci-Fi, for these movies. Ghost Shark." So this individual watched Ghost Shark, which is a fine. Where a lot of us connected up are watching the really horrible sci-fi movies like
Right on.
Anaconda and all that good stuff.
Sure.
So.
Sure. I will randomly turn on the Sci-Fi Channel and watch whatever's on. I was a Stargate fan. Yeah, well, Battlestar Galactica, obviously. It's on Hulu now, I think, right? It's not on Netflix anymore. I think it's on Hulu now.
It was on Netflix for a while, but I didn't get a chance to get back through it. But yeah, I loved the reboot on Battlestar quite a bit. Yeah. That was very cool. Okay, well, this was like crazy fun. Really appreciate you taking time to join us today, and hope you consider after some of us do the things we're required to do, like watch Lady Hawk and stuff like that. If at some other point in time you'd like to come back on for another show, or join Mike and I on Squat Cobbler,
I will not discuss Floppy Bacon. I can't. No.
We will not have a Floppy Bacon-centric show, I promise. But thank you again very much for coming on. It's very generous of your time, and it was fantastic.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm thrilled to meet someone else who loves Lady Hawk as much as I do, because most people haven't heard of it.
We have to change that, Mel.
I know.
We have to address that in the world.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, well, I think what we're going to probably see is Nurture and Support go back on hiatus for a little while, and there'll still be some squat cobbler out there for a while. So nice seeing you again, Mel. Awesome for you to be back. Mike, Thanks again very much, Julie Ann, and I think we're going to call it a show. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Thank you.
You can contact us on our website, nurtureandsupport.net, or email us at nurtandsupp@gmail.com. That's NURTANDSUPP@gmail.com. Or tweet us at nurtandsupp on Twitter.
Nurturing and supporting Tornado.